This week on Engage the Sage.
Hey everyone, I'm Don Saucier. Welcome to this week's episode of Engage the Sage. This week, I'm going to talk to you about homework for life. Right now, I'm getting close to the end of my semester. And at the end of the semester, I want to inspire my students to think about all the stuff that they've done with me that has been valuable and might actually impact them after the semester ends. I look back on my undergraduate career and I will be honest that sometimes after the final exam or the final project, I tried to purge all of that information from some of the classes that I took. I really hope and I strive that that won't be the experience that my students will have in my class. And to help them come to the conclusion that maybe, just maybe, they learned something useful, I give them the opportunity to complete Homework for Life as a capstone assignment in many of my classes. Homework for Life in my classes is an opportunity for my students to take the content or the skills they've learned from my class and talk about how they're going to use it moving forward. In essence, they're telling me about the homework for life they're assigning themselves after the conclusion of the semester. I love this assignment. This assignment is individualized, it's personal, and it allows my students to take a deeper look at the content and skills and find a way to apply it in ways that are meaningful to them and might actually impact the world around them in a positive way. When I use Homework for Life, I'm going to give my students an assignment where I get them tell me about what they're going to assign for themselves, but I do it in a super streamlined way. Talked before about giving my students maximums in their work. For Homework for Life, I'm typically going to give them something like 300, 400 words, maybe a minute or two in a video, and I might give them a choice of doing that narrative or that video. So what I'm going to get as the teacher is a clear, complete, concise, compelling report of what my students find meaningful enough in my class to continue past the semester. We hear the term lifelong learner a lot, and I think that term sometimes gets overused as a bit of a cliche. But what the term means is that learning should not stop at any point in our lives. And I think using Homework for Life, we're inspiring our students to think of their learning as a lifelong endeavor. I use Homework for Life as a capstone assignment in my classes, so one of the last things they do. As such, it kind of becomes an exclamation mark on the semester, that they're ending with something super valuable, so they can look back on that semester and say, hey, we did something important, and I want to keep doing that. When I teach my classes, it's important that I understand that the content of my classes really is a vehicle for the personal and professional development of my students. So what Homework for Life allows me to see is how that personal and professional development manifests. Now, you may think that Homework for Life isn't going to work in your class. You might think that the stuff that you're teaching doesn't easily allow for application beyond the end of the semester. And in that case, I'm going to ask you to reconsider. When we're thinking about how our classes are going to extend beyond the semester, sometimes it's the content, sometimes it's the skills. And one of the things I want to think about is to help our students understand that even if whatever I taught them isn't going to be directly applicable in their careers or their personal lives, maybe some other skills that they've developed, maybe the ability to understand data, maybe the ability to build community, maybe the ability to have soft skills or social skills to interact well with others. Maybe those kinds of things are going to be what they take forward with them. Maybe in your class, they've just learned that sometimes you have to put effort into the things that you create. Maybe they learn writing skills. Maybe they learn oral presentation or other communication skills. Maybe they learned how to work on teams. Maybe they learned soft skills about how to interact and respect others. And maybe it really is the information that you've taught them that you want them to take forward. But these are personal decisions that they get to make and tell you about on their Homework for Life. One of the other reasons that I use Homework for Life is my students seem to really enjoy it. They seem to really invest in the wonderful ways that they think about for applying the information after the end of my semester. It is amazing for me to read these. It's so inspiring for me to read these. When my students are telling me that the way that they might parent their kids might be different from something they've learned in my class, or the way they might interact with difficult coworkers, or the way they might approach graduate school. These are things that is really heartening for me as an instructor to read about, to see them find those little nuggets for them that are useful moving forward. One of the things too about Homework for Life, I mentioned these are streamlined. I want the work and the effort to actually be in the thinking and not in the preparation of the actual submission that they will create. So they're thinking a lot, they're coming up with ideas, they're coming up with applications, but they're not writing a whole lot. They're not presenting a whole lot. And what that means is this assignment becomes, kind of ironically, high cognition, low effort. So what they're producing for me is pretty easy for me to process and wonderful for me to read. I also want to reiterate a point I made before. I'll often give choice that my students can write their homework for life or they can submit a video clip. I love watching those videos. I find this is a great way to personally collect to my students and see what they're saying to me about that. And for some of my students, what they'll tell me is it's actually the confidence that they have in their presentation skills that is one of the things they'll take forward with them. As an instructor, these are amazing to receive. At the end of the semester, I'm tired, right? It's been a 4-month grind for all of us. I'm tired at the end of the semester. And to read or to see the way that my students are going to personally apply that information in their lives moving forward is so heartening, so inspiring, and so fulfilling. And it's something that really helps me recharge and re-energize to be an explanation point from my semester too. I am always surprised to see the wonderful connections that my students will draw on the content to what they're going to do in their futures. And I've said before that sometimes we'll tell students why things are relevant. I think it's always more powerful for our students to make them connections for themselves. I also will use the submissions on Homework for Life to help me the next time I teach that class. Because sometimes some of those connections and some of the things that they really saw as useful weren't something that was a big part of my class. And sometimes the Homework for Life inspires me to emphasize some of those points more moving forward. So if you're looking for a wonderful assignment to provide an exclamation point on your semester, wonderful capstone that lets your students come up with creative, inspiring ways to apply your material that are going to be super fun for you to read and not that hard to grade, I highly recommend Homework for Life. In the comments below, I would love to hear how you're going to use Homework for Life at the end of your semesters with your students. And I'd love to hear about any other wonderful end of the semester capstone assignments that you use. Thank you for watching this episode of Engage the Sage. Please like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, share us on social media, and we'll see you next time on Engage the Sage.